Welcome back to the BJack 70 show. I'm your host, Brandon Jackson, and we have a lot to update on the channel. And I'm going to talk about some NFL prospects who I'm in on, who I'm out on. Maybe not the top flight guys that we're all talking about, but people just a little bit down the board. We'll talk about whether I'm in on them or whether I'm out on them. But before we get into that, just want to say thank you for watching. Appreciate you being here. Go ahead, hit that thumbs up, that like button, hit that subscribe button. And this week, this is coming out on Friday. We are going to do a mailbag episode this Tuesday. So get your questions in, get your questions in the comments. I'll take your questions on Twitter, the YouTube comments, TikTok, Instagram. Is all at BJack70. I'm taking comments and questions from all those places. I'm gonna do a big mailbag episode on Tuesday. But I'm recording it this weekend, over the weekend. So it's going to drop Tuesday. Get those in as soon as you can, as soon as you see this. And I'll go ahead and answer all of those for you guys. But I'm doing a mailbag episode on Tuesday. Long episode because there will not be an episode on Friday. I'm gonna pretty much get some stuff together because on Monday, 4/20, I'm going to be dropping Mock Draft 2.0, and the Patreon will be launching. And the Patreon is going to be film breakdowns of Browns specific prospects going into the season, Browns film, Browns players headed into the draft. I'm going to have available, and I'll talk about this more when that mock draft comes out, but and I'll talk about this more going forward. But the Patreon, that week of the draft, I'm gonna have on there film breakdowns of some possible guys that I think the Browns will be interested in. And then after the draft, I'll come back and we'll dive a little bit deeper and break down film of the guys that they actually drafted. But we'll get more into that next week. But just want to give a heads up of what's coming on the channel. So just to recap, make it a little bit more clear. Drop your mailbag questions because the mailbag episode will drop normal time on Tuesday. There will be no episode on Friday, and I will be back the next week. That next week is the NFL draft week. On Monday, I'm dropping my mock draft 2.0. Probably will be the final one. It will be different than mock draft 1.0. Just given I'm hearing more things, gathering more intel, doing a little bit more research on prospects. It will be different than the first one, but that'll come out Monday on 4/20 on bjax70.com, and with the breakdown on video, on podcast, and then also Browns Ball Talk is the Patreon channel that's dropping. Gonna have film breakdowns. It's gonna be mostly film breakdowns on that channel. It's something I'm interested in doing, but something I really want to get going. I really want to build a community of film heads and people that want to talk about film. I don't know how popular that is on my channel, but if you want to, join there, we'll talk about that more couple episodes in the future. But with that being said, long intro, let's talk about a few. Let's see, how many do I have here? Nice even 10 prospects that I'm either in on or I'm out on. And it's it's all over the place. I've like kind of grouped some positions together, but I don't have like there's no running backs on this list. There's there's no DBs on this list. There's offensive linemen, but there's no interior offensive linemen. There's no D tackles. So just things I've been thinking about over the week, or since the last time we spoke. And let's just get into it. So you'll see what I'm talking about as I go. So first person I want to talk about, R. Mason Thomas, the edge out of Oklahoma, and I'm in on R. Mason Thomas. R. Mason Thomas, like if you just watch his highlights, he's so explosive. I'm really intrigued by what he has to offer. I don't see him mocked in a lot of first rounds. In my mock draft, I put him in the first round. I don't know if I'm going to have him mocked in the first in my second mock draft, but that first one I had him in my first round. But the thing is, I think he might fall because I don't know how well he's going to do against the run game in the NFL. But man, I would love to get that guy on my team on third down, rushing the passer, because he is explosive around the edge, and when he gets home, he's going to try to knock the ball out, and feels like more times than not knock the ball out. So I'm in on R. Mason Thomas. Another edge I want to talk about, Akeem Mesidor from Miami. I'm probably out on Mesidor because the age is crazy. He's 25, will be 25 when he's drafted and playing this season. That's a lot. That's old. That's pretty old for a first round draft pick. Not to say that if you're good enough that it matters a whole lot at edge. I played with Bruce Irvin. Bruce Irvin was drafted, I think 15th overall in whatever year that was, that 2012, 23rd, whatever year that was. Bruce Irvin got drafted. I think he was 24 when he got drafted as an edge rusher. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for old edges to get drafted if they're difference makers in that way. But I don't know if I like Mesidor enough to take him in the first at 25. I don't know if he's that big of a playmaker. I had him mocked in the first, had the Cowboys taking him at 20 in my first mock draft, but don't know if I'm going to do that again. He still might get picked in the first, but if it was me, I don't know if I could do it. All right. Moving on to the offensive tackles, I'm out on Blake Miller from Clemson. Watching him, I just don't know if he's going to be fluid enough to play tackle in the NFL. And it's always like we always talk about these offensive tackles prospects. Oh, if they can't play tackle, just move them into guard. Well, it's not really that simple. Every failed tackle can't play guard. So I don't want to just assume that if he can't play tackle, he can kick in and play guard. But with that being said, it might be advantageous for him to play guard. I don't know if how good he'll be at guard, but from what I've seen, all I'll say is if the Browns were to draft him, I would be upset. Because he's definitely not a left tackle. He played right tackle in college. And just by I feel like he's too stiff. I feel like he's too stiff in pass protection to be an effective pass protector. So I am so far out on Blake Miller. Next, I'm in on Caden Proctor, offensive tackle from Alabama. Now, he's huge. He's 6'9", 350. Just a huge offensive tackle prospect. Has played left tackle this whole time at Alabama. I think he can be coached into a very good offensive lineman. I know what he can do athletically in space, and to be the size that he is, and to be able to make contact with defenders on the second level out in space, or even the third level, being able to make contact on corners and safeties is very difficult, especially when you're so top heavy like that, like he is. I think it's very impressive. Um, he's obviously not a perfect tackle prospect, but I think he has enough talent and enough athleticism that I think he'll be a very good left tackle for a long time in this league. People like there's people that hate Caden Proctor in the draft space. I'm not one of them. I had him going 17 to the Detroit Lions in my mock. We'll see where I have him going in 2.0, but just being a football player, I'm interested and I'm in on Caden Proctor. And then the last offensive lineman I want to talk about is Jennings Dunker, the offensive tackle from Iowa. If you're not familiar, you may have seen him. He's the one with the mullet that everybody talks about from Iowa. And I'm out on him. It's not the same body type. I don't believe he's as tall. But it feels a bit Trevor Penning-ish to me. The year Trevor Penning got drafted, there was highlights of him all over the draft, him pancaking guys. Oh, he has a mean streak. Oh, he's doing interviews and he's that like angry, aggressive offensive lineman that we all want. And he wasn't good at tackle, and now he plays guard. I think he's with the Chargers now. I don't know. I don't remember exactly where he is now, but it didn't work out for the Saints, and they took him, I think, in the teens, maybe like 19 or 18 or something like that, the year he was drafted. And there's been rumblings. Well, before the combine, there were rumblings about Dunker going in the first round. Every now and then I'll see him mocked in the late first round, but I don't think that's going to be an outcome for him when it just comes down to it on draft day. He'll definitely be a second round pick, I feel like. But I'm out on him. It feels Trevor Penning-ish. And he's going to be a guy that needs to be able to work out a guard because he's 6'5". I don't think he has very long arms. He feels like a guard. I feel like he even should be a center if he can handle that move. I feel like he's a guy that needs to probably work at center. That feels like the right position for how he moves and how he plays the game. But moving the center, if you haven't done before, is extremely difficult. So I don't know on that one, but yeah, I'm out on Jennings Dunker. All right. A couple of quarterbacks. Ty Simpson. Dan Orlowski's favorite quarterback, Ty Simpson. I am out on Ty Simpson. So if you're new here, if you didn't know, I on bjack70.com, I'll put the link in the description of this video. I wrote an article about experience in college and how many starts that you have as a quarterback at the Power 5 level and how that is going to affect your development moving forward. And in the past, let's see, where did I go? Like in the past 5 to 6 to 7 years, nobody that has as little experience as Ty Simpson has worked out. Nobody has. Um, Now over the past few years, there's been um so in the article I talk about Power Five stars specifically, and then I like kind of take those numbers and look at the the quarterbacks that are starters in this league right now. Um, and there's some outliers. Kyler Murray is an outlier. I think he is a good starting quarterback in the NFL, but I think he only started off the top of my head 17 games at the Power Five level, but he's he's an outlier. He was so athletic, so gifted as an athlete that you kind of have to take that chance and see if you can make it work. Um, and you'll get differing opinions on if it worked with the Cardinals. I think he was good enough to keep. They didn't think he was good enough to keep. We'll see how it works with the Vikings going forward. But you can have your opinion on what Kyler Murray is in the NFL. Ty Simpson is not a guy with strong enough tools that I would take that risk on. Um, and it literally just comes down. He only has 13 starts in college. He was a redshirt junior, and he was a backup to Bryce Young, and a backup to Jalen Milroe. Like he paid his dues. He waited his time at Alabama, got his time, started all season, and feels like half the tape was good, half the tape was bad, and that's just not enough for me. That's just not enough for me. The experience level really, really, really scares me. I personally would not spend a first round pick on him. But I definitely understand if a team were to come back into the bottom of the first and take him there, or if they take him at the top of the second round. I totally understand why you would do that. Um, but if it was me, if it was my team, if I was running an organization, I probably would just be out on quarterback in this whole entire draft. I would probably just sit back, figure something else out 2027, because 2026 is not it. Um, so yeah, I'm out on Ty Simpson. The one quarterback that I'm in on, and I've mentioned it multiple times across multiple different episodes of this podcast, and I'm in on Haynes King being a part of my football team. Hypothetically, again, if I ran an organization, if I was a head coach, if I was a GM, I would want Haynes King on my football team, but not necessarily to be playing starting quarterback. He's just watching him at Georgia Tech. I was a huge fan of his at Georgia Tech. Running the football, like they ran QB power into the ground. Put his body on the line multiple times, every single week of the last couple seasons at Georgia Tech. I he's I want him to be like a Taysom Hill from the Saints, but he's not that big. Like I think he's only like 200, like in the 210s, like maybe 220. And Taysom Hill's like 230, 240. So you can't necessarily put Taysom Hill at tight end or H-back or like on kickoff return or like punt protector like that. So I want Haynes King to be on a football team, but I don't know exactly what I want him to be doing. Is he good? Like, I guess it just depends. Is he good enough to take, like, if you're going to do a wildcat, is he good enough to take snaps from, your running back doing Wildcat? Is he good enough? Is he strong enough to do like a short yardage package? If you don't want your quarterback taking quarterback sneaks or tush pushes, is he strong enough to do that? I don't know. I don't know, but I just know I feel like he's a real high character guy. Like all the cliche adjectives when they're not an excellent like quarterback, I don't know if he's a coach's son. He's a real smart, intense, great guy you want to bring home, and guy you want your daughter to bring home, like that kind of guy. And I know it's dumb when you say it like that, but I'm in on Haynes King in that way. If he's a backup, maybe he can give you a couple starts here and there. But this isn't the gentleman that you would want taking your like the majority of your snaps at quarterback. It just really it is what it is, and he's not that guy. Kind of like a situation like you would have him on the roster and your starter's playing and you have him as the backup and your starter goes down and Haynes King can finish the game for you. But when you go to the next week and your starter's out, you want another quarterback to like be your quarterback in that next game. Like you want like all the quarterback stuff, you want another guy to do. But I think like if Haynes King was your number 2 active, he could get you through 2 quarters just running the football, being a tough guy, being a leader. I think he could get you through a football game in that way. But you would probably want to look for another like full starting quarterback if your starter was out. But yeah, I'm in on Haynes King, and I hope that made sense. All right. Last position group I'm going to talk about is wide receiver. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on him, but I'm in on Carnell Tate. I'm in on Mekhi Lemon. And I'm in on Jordan Tyson. I think those are the top 3 receivers. Whatever order you might have him in is your prerogative, is your decision. Looking at Mel Kiper's rankings on ESPN, he has Mekhi Lemon 1, Tate 2, and Tyson 3, but they all have an 89 overall grade in his system. That's not how I have it, but I believe those are the top 3 guys. But Jordan Tyson specifically, I want to say that I'm in on because there's a lot of people that are out on Jordan Tyson. And it's obviously because of his injury history, had a torn ACL before, broken collarbone before, hamstring issue going on as we speak in the pre-draft process. But when he's on the football field, that brother can separate, that boy can jump, that boy can catch the football. So I'm in on that guy. I'm very much in on Jordan Tyson. I want him to be a Brown no matter how it happens. But yeah, I don't know what a trade down would probably have to be in the works for him to end up being a Brown, because I really don't see him falling to 24. I know like the sky is falling with Jordan Tyson and his stock right now, but still, when it comes down to it on draft day, on that Thursday, I don't think he's going to fall that far. I don't think he's going to make it to 24. So, but he's definitely not. I don't think he's a guy that you take at 6 either. So, when it comes to the Browns and those 2 picks, he's going to fall in between those picks somewhere. Yeah, I'm in on. I care about the injury history, but when it comes down to it, when that guy's in the football field, he's a really good wide receiver. So I'm in on it. 2 guys I'm going to put together that I'm out on: Chris Brazzell II and Zachariah Branch. Chris Brazzell, wide receiver from Tennessee, and Zachariah Branch, wide receiver from the University of Georgia. Two guys that I don't want to say gimmicky, but kind of gimmicky. I don't want to disrespect them. They're outstanding athletes. And if you can get the football in their hands, they can do damage. But I'm just not convinced that these guys can do like the wide receivery stuff. If you guys remember that one woman on Fox Sports Radio that said about Lamar Jackson, she wants her quarterbacks to be quarterbacky. I want my wide receivers to be wide receivery. So I don't think Brazzell and Branch are wide receivery enough for my taste. Like they're both fast as hell. I know you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't helmet scout, but I don't trust Tennessee wide receivers. And Zach Branch, I've seen what he can do when you get the football in his hands, and I know he did what he was asked to do at Georgia. But I wanted to see more of him doing the wide receiver stuff, downfield or like intermediately. And it's a lot of short stuff, but he's effective with it when he, yards after catch. So those two I'm out on. And last but not least, the guy I'm in on, not a lot of talk about, which I understand. He's not a first rounder. I don't know actually what round he'll end up going in, but I'm in on Jacoby Lane from USC. Definitely is the second guy I talked about when you bring up USC and their wide receiver room behind Mekhi Lemon, but I'm a guy, I really like Jacoby Lane. He is my prototypical type of wide receiver, 6'4", 6'4", basically 200 pounds, 4.47 speed that can make contested catches. And we've seen the contested catches on film. But he can separate. Excuse me. He can separate. He's not a guy that's a big receiver that's slow. He's a guy that is fast enough to get open. And you can see it at USC, and you saw it at the Senior Bowl, which I think was very important for him to be able to show that he could do it against other top competition at the Senior Bowl. And I know personally I get frustrated when people do like player comps because it's outrageous. They'll say, oh, a running back has the vision of he has the athleticism of Saquon Barkley and the vision of Christian McCaffrey and the dynamic ability of Jahmyr Gibbs and put them all together. I'm like, well, that's the greatest football player of all time. So he can't be that. He's not getting drafted first overall, so he can't be that. So I like to temper my expectations, and if I do, I don't normally do a lot of player comparisons. Like the only one I can remember recently is I thought Shador was Geno Smith last season, but looking at Jacoby Lane, and granted, I only, I'm looking at the 40 time, I'm looking at the height, I'm looking at the weight, and then I'm just like comparing. I will admit this one just to make the comparison. I only like watched the highlights next to each other. And is Jacoby Lane Chris Henry Sr.? Is he just that? And I say just that. Shout out Chris Henry Sr., RIP. You see the jersey in the back, West Virginia Mountaineer. Great to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be. So shout out the great Chris Henry Sr. Yeah, if Jacoby Lane is just Chris Henry, that would be crazy. And if you knew he was Chris Henry, you would take him in the first round. I think, me personally. But there's not been a lot of talk about him. And he was one of my favorites all year. Like the stats didn't jump out. I think like his whole career, it was 99 catches, like a little bit over 1,400 yards, but he had 16 touchdowns. And he's a big-bodied weapon in the red zone, guy that can attack you downfield. There multiple times he's doing double moves and going deep, getting open. I think he's a guy you can look for on third down. I think he's going to be a guy that a team drafts, and he's going to quickly become a fan favorite wherever he goes, because he's going to be able to make plays. You'll see it in training camp. You'll see it in the preseason. You'll see it early in the season as long as he's able to get on the field. I think he'll be a fan favorite wherever he goes, just because of like the body type. Everybody loves the big 6'4" fast receiver because everybody thinks about Randy Moss. Everybody loves Randy Moss. And don't get it twisted, he's not that. But everybody loves that archetype, and I think he's gonna be a guy that's gonna be a fan favorite wherever he ends up. I have no idea where he's gonna go in the draft, if he's gonna be a second round guy, if he's gonna be a third round guy. I know for sure he's not gonna be a day one first round guy, because there's just too many talented wide receivers. Like all of the guys that have first round talent at wide receiver might not all go in the first round. Like I think the top three I have are definitely going to go probably top 20, and then Omar Cooper is going to fit in there somewhere, and then we'll see David Boston and KC Concepcion. We'll see where they end up going. Like maybe one of those two gets picked in the first, but I'm expecting one of them to fall to that second round. So, but yeah, in on Jacoby Chris Henry Sr. Lane out of USC. So that being said, appreciate you guys watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you in advance. Again, next week, get your mailbag questions in. Leave a question in the comments, leave it on Twitter, leave it on Instagram, leave it on TikTok, Facebook, wherever you want to leave it, wherever you feel comfortable leaving it, leave it. I'll answer it on Tuesday next week. Only pod of the week on Tuesday. But yeah, man, thank you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on Tuesday. So see you.